When you move up to that, just under the belly button is your second chakra, so your sacral chakra. Do you have abundance in your life? And a lot of women have that tendency in the sacral or the pelvic chakra, the root chakra. It's emotionally unbalanced, and that's kind of where we run through, and it does affect your cortisol area.
Hello and welcome to the Wellness Trinity podcast, where we interview top holistic experts and bring you natural solutions for modern day wellness. Let's get started with your host, Dr. Jacqueline.
Welcome. Thank you for joining the Wellness Trinity podcast. I am Dr. Jacqueline, naturopathic doctor and owner of the Wellness Trinity, where we provide natural solutions for modern day wellness. Just a little disclaimer before we get started. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. What you do with the information is to be used at your discretion. For these recommendations are not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any diseases.
This episode was brought to you by Cerebral Biosciences. Creating supplements that work is what they do, and restoring hope and health is who they are. This protocol was an absolute game changer for myself and my clients too, and now I get to train practitioners to use it in their practice and ebb and flow with it accordingly. So if you want to learn more about the protocol, please visit cellcorebiosciences.com. If you are a practitioner, you can sign up for a wholesale account, and the general public, please visit thewellnesstrinity.com/cellcore-detox, and I can show you the ropes of how we can ebb and flow with this for yourself and your family.
Today I have a special guest on the show. Her name is Nicole Borghi, and she is a certified Reiki 2 Holy Fire practitioner, and she also she's certified in Aroma Touch therapy and volunteers with adults in hospice. So she's going to be explaining her expertise in Reiki and talking about the chakras and just balancing people's energy systems. And I'm really excited and happy to have her on the show. So welcome, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't we just jump in and what is Reiki?
So what Reiki is it's your energy. It's your key. It's your life force. It's the life force that flows through us. And Reiki helps can reconnect that life force and get that positive energy flowing throughout your body.
Nice. So how does it work?
What it does is it's in sense of taking the energy from the practitioner. That takes that healing energy and it moves that energy through your chakras, your meridians, and your nadas, and it nourishes the organs and the cells within the body. It's just working that force through the positivity and that connection that you have with spirit or God, and you take that energy and you fulfill that positive energy into somebody and kind of help, in a sense, manipulate it and get it to flow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I always thought of Reiki kind of like how acupuncturists or chiropractors are working with the nervous system and making sure there's no blockages in people's body as well. Is that what you would say as well too?
Absolutely. They're working with a ki or the chi, that energy manipulation in the body. So if something's blocked, you have to move it again and get it flowing.
Yeah. I always tell my clients that too. When things are blocked, then you can have health challenges, and it could be in different parts of the body. If you have a blockage in a different part, it's not always related to the same part. So it's just so interesting how the body is so interconnected, and we have all these parts that are linked together it's like a highway system.
Absolutely. And you've got to maintain it and do maintenance on it at all times.
Yeah. So can you elaborate a little bit more on how this releases stress and negative energy?
So what it does is it takes the energy and it what you're doing is when you take your negative thoughts and you're creating that negativity and that pain or that disease in your body, what we're doing is we're replacing that energy, taking that energy and sending it out. Because energy never ends. Energy is constantly moving. So what we're doing is we're taking that negative energy and we're sending it out to the light to cleanse it and bring it back, only the positive energy. And the practitioner, or the person that utilizes the Reiki on the other person, or on yourself, you're taking that energy in a positive light, and you're stopping that disruption, and you're getting it to flow. So it basically is a life force from one person to the next, and you're just taking that energy and cleansing it.
Wow, that's interesting. So I would assume there's some type of preparation process that you go through to make sure that your energy is clean too, right?
Absolutely. That's something I have to do every day. And that's something that I continuously do. It's any time that you want to, whether you're saging your energy and adding Palo Santo, or you're utilizing essential oils, or anything, you want to add something positive daily, because you're diminishing that energy. And there's a lot of negative energy around us right now. So you constantly have to, whether it's meditation or prayer, you constantly have to improve that energy. And you want to send it out to the people around you.
Okay, yeah. So when you're doing this, you're not well, some people I think touch people, and then some people keep their hands at a distance.
You can do either way. It gets into technicalities, usually with the licensing in the area. Some people don't like necessarily the touch. Some people do. For me, I like to touch, especially if I use it with hospice patients. I think at the end of life that it's a necessity to give them that touch, to give them that form of communication and understanding, that they're there, and they can definitely feel it either way. It just is dependent upon the person, how much touch they want. If they want you kind of standing in their auric field, in that 3 inches to that 3 feet in space around them, you can always send it to them, or you can do it with touch. And I think touch just kind of reaffirms it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think there's definitely something special about touch, and I know that so much more research I need to do to even kind of understand that. I mean, it's just like how nowadays we're so, and thank God for technology, but at the same time, we're on Facebook and all these things where we're even losing the human connection of just being together. And I know that there's something that's happening in our bodies and our health as a result of just this lack of just connecting with each other. So I can imagine in Reiki that is something kind of similar in the theory that you're going is like, and wanting to be able, or feeling like touching is a more appropriate way to deliver this.
Absolutely. We're human. And just like babies, they need touch. You need that reaffirming. We're human. We need that touch. We need to have somebody touch our skin and love us. And even in the older women's circle, like a sewing circle, you have that good energy around you. And even if you're just sitting there quietly or having a nice chat, you're giving and you're receiving positive energy. And that's a necessity that we've forgotten so much of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That sewing group reminds us of the mastermind that we're a part of, and it's just Las Vegas Wellness Mastermind. I started this group, and Nicole has been very on top of showing up every time, and I just love your energy. And I feel the same way about that kind of situation too. Just this women gathering, and we're all trying to figure out how to help people get healthier. And I feel personally more alive even when I leave something like that. So it's just amazing how when we gather as a community, how that energy, well, obviously if it's in for a good purpose, it makes a difference too, right? How it can really just make us more alive too.
Oh, absolutely. You can't just take every day, and you just want to replace and nourish and love. And that's just what you need. And just like that group, approaching it every day, it's something good to look forward to. It's something that doesn't drain your soul. It helps just replenish that connection and that well-being.
Yeah. So you're saying even with Reiki, you feel alive after.
Absolutely. You feel this connection. It is a God connection. It is an energy, and you want to take that energy and you want to replenish it. And as long as you're constantly replenishing it in your third eye, in your chakras, in your endocrine, you feel it everywhere, deep to your soul, constantly replenishing and regaining that energy. And so the more you do, kind of like working out, the more you do, the better you feel in the end. You know, sometimes it's hard to come to that point and just release and sit and regenerate. But if you constantly do it, you're just going to get better at it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you were saying that when you suppress this energy, you become a time bomb, basically.
Oh, well, absolutely. And it's reflective in our community and what's going on in the news, just with people emotionally. They hold that energy. It's a good energy, but if it doesn't have a release, it has nowhere to go. If you don't understand what's happening in your body, it's kind of scary when you don't understand that strength and that connection, or why you're feeling that. It's almost like going through puberty. If you don't understand what's going on in your body, then you don't know how to release it or connect to it.
Yeah, that's really funny that you related to puberty. Yeah, it just seems like most things can be used for good or for bad. And if we don't know how to direct our gifts and our skills and talents, or even the energy in our body in a good way, that we're bound to be a time bomb. We're bound to blow up in some other way, in a negative way, whether it's posting negative things on Facebook, or it's, you know, people are committing suicide and homicides nowadays. So this is really interesting to see how using these type of techniques can address these more global type of issues. So we had discussed how this Reiki balances chakras, and I'd like to elaborate a little bit more on that. Can you first explain what are chakras? People, and I will admit to, at some point when I would hear chakras before studying this a little bit more, I was thinking it was some kind of woo-woo something, until I realized it was actually a scientific, these centers, nerve centers in our body. So can you just elaborate a little bit more on what those are?
So the chakras, there's 7 of them in your body, and they all have, in essence, a different purpose to serve. And there's 7 of them, like within the endocrine system, and they're related with that. So if the chakras are all busy moving at a different direction, at a different cycle, or have a different focus, they're kind of sucking that energy and that health out of the rest of your body. So it adds to that disease, that uneasiness in your body. When you start with your chakras, if your chakras aren't aligned, and they do run up and down your meridians of your body, and what they need to do is they need to help that within that meridian or that spinal column, they all need to process and run at the same rate and the same speed. So they're feeding and working with one another, kind of like cogs and widgets or wheels in a motor. To basically relate, kind of to ease it a little bit more, we can go over the chakras. Like the first chakra is your root chakra. It's your grounding. Are you physically healthy? It usually represents red. So that's more in your pelvic area. When you move up to that, just under the belly button is your second chakra. So your sacral chakra. And do you have abundance in your life? And a lot of women have that tendency in the sacral or the pelvic chakra, the root chakra. It's emotionally unbalanced, and that's kind of where we run through, and it does affect your cortisol area, and it's expressing yourself physically or sexually, creatively, in that second chakra, and that represents the color orange. The third chakra is the solar plexus, just under the heart area, in more or less the lower rib cage. And it's a high degree of self-esteem. What is your self-esteem like? If that's not, if you're not confident, you're running low on that chakra. It needs to be balanced. And that's it's a yellow. And so the fourth chakra is the heart. And absolutely affects pretty much everything. Your love, do you love your life, your friends, your significant other? Are you emotionally connected to people? And so if we shut down and we don't represent the heart chakra, we can't have love for ourselves or other people. And that's color of green. The fifth chakra is the throat. and it's blue, and it represents communication. Your thoughts, are your thoughts okay? Are your thoughts easy? What are your tapes running as? And do people consider you articulate? Are you able to express yourself? And so the sixth chakra, we're going up to the third eye, or between the brow bone, and that's purple. Do you intuitively just know certain things? Are you listening to your thoughts? Are they wise? Are you a deep thinker? Do you have a well-developed mind's eye? And that would represent purple. Or do you have that connection? And the seventh chakra is your crown, and it could be white or it can be a violet. And it's, do you understand your spiritual connected to all that exists? And when your seventh chakra is balanced, and that's where you're going to connect to your higher light. And that's basically your main connection, kind of in the older pictures where you see that kind of halo. That's more or less that crown chakra. And
Wow.
Those are just the seven.
Wow. So are there other chakras?
No, there's just the seven chakras.
Okay.
And I think that's enough.
It's enough to try to balance in people.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are definitely complex beings, and it's just, when you learn all these different pieces of the puzzle, it just makes you realize how much we don't know, huh?
Right. Oh yeah, there's a lot out there.
Yeah. So do you use color therapy and anything that any type of, with Reiki, I should say?
What I do is I have stones that I can use with Reiki as well, or you can use it, and I take those stones and I place them, I cleanse them each time I use them on another client, but I place them on the seven chakras while the person's lying down. And that helps, and I ask for that balance and that reconnection, take out any of the negativity and only bring in the positive light. And that's just one more thing that I can do to increase bringing in that light and that energy.
Okay, so you would use different colors or different types of stones for different chakras.
Well, you can use, you can use different stones, or I have stones that are just more or less for the color with the chakra symbol. Then that gets pretty intricate with the symbols. But if you're just going basically for the colors and drawing those correct colors to that specific area.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes complete sense. So, well, everything's a frequency. I explain that to my clients when I do the Resido scan, that everything, our supplements, our colors, our food we eat, it's all a frequency. Our body, everything is in there. So I could see even stones carry different types of frequencies that can help balance the body out, and being able to utilize that is something that we can also consider in our healing methods too. I started using things like black tourmaline. I wear a black onyx bracelet and a hematite bracelet, just because I feel with all these EMS, it's just draining, where I feel not as grounded. And so I found that those type of stones are very grounding for that. And I would have never, that wasn't the first thought I went, in this field, is to use stones for grounding purposes or for healing purposes. But as I had continued studying, I realized that there is something to this too. And when you're trying to find protection from things like EMFs, or, which is another type of negative energy, you start to open your eyes, like, okay, maybe there's something about this. So when I first had a colleague of mine, Dr. Gail, buy me, Dr. Gail, she bought me some black tourmaline from, I want to call it a farm, a special place in Arizona that sells these stones. And when I first held it, I could totally feel that energy in the stone. And I mean, I don't feel like I'm that most sensitive to things like that, but I could totally feel like it was balancing me out. So I would carry these stones everywhere. I have no idea. They probably got lost in my laundry or something at this point. But yeah, once I find them again, I'm definitely going to continue wearing them. But it's very interesting how these stones can help balance our energy as well too. And I love how you use that with Reiki, because that's not something every Reiki practitioner uses, right?
No, you can just use the energy yourself, or you can add to it. And so for me, it's any addition. If there's one more thing I can do to make it better, then that's what I'm going to try and do. And always my stones are cleansed, and I bring a positive energy into it, and so that I'm giving that person everything that I can.
Okay, yeah. So, we had talked about also, why is it important to balance chakras? Is there anything else that you want to touch on that?
Well, in anything, your meridian or your energy is lined down the middle of your body, and it's your balance. And so your chakras being within that area are going to give you balance. And if anytime you're off balance, you can't perform well. And that's just basically it. It's something very simple. And so, you don't need to make it too hectic or too crazy. It's just something very simple. It's balance in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this goes, it's for several things. I mean, for our health to be well, we have to be at that homeostasis, that balance. For if we want to achieve and be at peak performances in our businesses and our our jobs or family life, if we're unbalanced in any type of way, then all these other type of things get all thrown off too. So I think that's definitely part of healing is just trying to figure out what is our specific balance is really interesting. And it's almost like it takes a lifetime in certain ways, but it's nice to know that there's practitioners out there that can kind of also discover where the different pieces are that are off in that balance. So, can you talk about how this relates to emotions? And we can even talk about imbalances in those too.
In any emotion, if you have that negativity, or if you're really reliving that tape constantly, you're constantly negative and depleting yourself. So it's not just always like, hey, smile and move forward. Sometimes it's just something deeper that you need to clean and get out. What Reiki is doing is helping you find a path to that healing of that anxiety or that depression, and cleansing it. And it's up to the person going in as well to understand what they're doing and what they want to get out of it. And are they willing to accept that thought and let it go? If you can go into Reiki and feel fantastic for that point in time, but 5 minutes later when you're in your car, you're in that depression or in that anxiety again, you have to accept what you have and let it go. It's almost like forgiveness. You have to be a willing participant in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the next thing I wanted to talk about, is that when we had talked before, you said that you have to be open for Reiki to work, open to it, I should say, for it to work.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have that openness and acceptance, if you're going to doubt yourself going in, then it's not going to work, because you've already shut yourself down. You've closed yourself down. You drew the curtain on the whole thing and locked the doors, basically. You're not letting somebody in. So it's absolutely up to you to allow that energy to come in. And each time you do it, you'll have a difference. It's just like meditation. It's a continual practice. It's a perishable skill. You need to practice. You need to allow it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It seems like in any form of healing art that if you're not open to it, you're not going to, receive it, at least to the best of the ability that it can. I mean, for example, I give people a lot of supplements. If they believe that they're doing good with it, and that's good, doing good for the body, well, their body's going to do well with it. But if in their mind they're thinking, well, this supplement, I don't know about this. I mean, it might actually still do something because there's still a physical reaction to it. But at the same time, maybe their body might kind of reject it because, well, your mind, it really affects your body. So it's really interesting in that sense too, and to know that this concept also relates to Reiki. If we think it's something crazy and don't want to receive the healing from it, then we're not going to, or not as much at least.
Absolutely. It's kind of like if I go into hospice and I go in with patients, they might not be able to say, yes, I want some Reiki, or they might just kind of be like, I'm not really into that, you can still put it out there. You can still add that energy to it. It's like praying for someone. You can do it distance, or you can do it personally, or you can do it next to somebody. You're still sending that good energy out. And you're still sending that contact to them, but it's up to them if they want to take it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, many people have sleep issues, and that's definitely one of the top things on my intake forms that I get from people is we can't sleep. Now, I could talk about on several different levels why this is happening. But one thing that we're hearing more and more is about how the pineal gland is calcified. So can you touch a little bit on that and how Reiki is related to helping that situation?
So the pineal gland is basically within that. It's in your third eye chakra, and if that's not open, if it's calcified, and you're not allowing it to be cleansed and to be pure, and to be open, whether that's mentally or physically or what you eat or how you meditate on that. If it's not open, you can't connect. It's kind of like you're not plugged in. Your cord's not plugged into the wall. If it's not plugged into the wall, then you're not going to get a connection. You have to be able to connect. And that's part of cleansing. And obviously, that detoxing, and it does affect you. And it affects you if you're not meditating or opening up or inviting that energy in. You need to get that third eye open so you can make that connection to that energy and allow it to heal your body.
So when people talk about the third eye, is that the pineal gland?
That's in that crown chakra, third eye area. Yeah. So you're looking at that. You need to have that health in that area and that openness.
Okay. So we're talking about opening your third eye, just so I understand clearly. You're talking about opening the pineal gland, which is also related to that whole chakra area.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Do you know why people's pineal glands are calcified?
From my understanding, it's not only your resistance and you're closing off that energy because you don't understand it or you don't accept it. And a lot of times I've seen that a lot of people are seeing in the studies of GMOs and unhealthy foods and unhealthy situations, it's causing that calcification. And then that calcium's not absorbed. If that calcium's not absorbed in the body correctly, then it's just going to build up in your pineal gland.
Yeah.
And it's going to close it off.
Yeah. Also the fluoride in the water too. Something that
absolutely
calcifying the pineal gland. So, it's interesting they put these specific toxins in our food and our water, and it's closing our connection, our God connection is basically what that is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, we see a lot of people just kind of spiritually numb, and, we can't see things that we would be able to normally see or do. And there's just so much more to this life that I think that we're not experiencing because of this calcification, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And people don't understand how something so little and so small can affect you, just everything you do, but not only you, but the people around you.
Yeah. So how do you use Reiki to uncalcify the pineal gland, I guess is what you could say.
What you're doing is you're getting that energy to move. So that's in your meridian, that's within your chakras. And so what you're doing is you're opening up and allowing that spirit and God and the I am to come through and making that connection. And when you're having that energy constantly move in the correct manner, it's just kind of moving things through. It's just kind of like flowing with water. If something in a river gets dammed up, it won't flow correctly. So you need to have that energy flow so you can continue that connection.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. So if someone was going to try to maybe practice this on herself, how would they try to practice using, is it like, do they put their hand over their head, or like, how does this
There's actually the class that I've taken. There's actually the people who are at that master level have, and there's also Holy Fire, and there's different levels. There's different dualities within Reiki. And once that practitioner kind of opens you and guides you, and once you get that opening and awareness of that gift, that energy, that spirit into your body, and there's this huge opening that you go through. And it's kind of hard to explain unless you're in that situation. But once you're open to that, there is a certain form of meditation where you'll have your hand placement, and they'll go over that, where you'll connect your energy, how to move the energy around in your own body and kind of manipulate it within your own body. And then you will again have your own. In the first level, it teaches you to practice it on yourself. So you're manipulating that energy and moving that energy in the proper form and the proper maneuvers to open yourself up even further. And once you're open, then you're going to go into there's like a second and a third level and a mastery. And that's when you can teach people to do it. It's kind of something that you have to, the energy you have personally, the energy you can manipulate personally. But Reiki teaches you, it's a connection almost that you get from that master.
Okay. So I guess to sum that up, it's not as easy as we think.
No, there's this huge, actually there's a huge book that you'll get with it when you do the Reiki. If you go into, there's like an international center for Reiki training that some of these masters have gone through. And it all started in Japan, and it was brought over to Hawaii and brought here. When they do that overseas and in Japan, there's years long of training, also with a sense of herbology and some acupuncture and whatnot that these people use. And we've really shortened it down just because Americans, we're always in a hurry and we have to do things quickly. But it is something that's gifted through that community. And there's almost like a performance that you go through within your meditation on how your hand placement is and where you're sitting and your connection.
Okay, that's interesting. So while that part of it seems a little bit more complex, and you had explained that there's Reiki for personal use.
Yes, the first level is your personal use, and what it gets you to understand is if you're not healthy, if you allow that disease to go through your body, you need to ease that, and you need to improve on your life and your opening. You need to balance your chakras. You need to understand where the energy is flowing in your body. You need to have a connection. It's in that thought form of self-care. And we don't do it, but Reiki teaches you to do it constantly. And once you feel that energy personally, you're going to see that it helps you through your days. It helps you through your life. It helps you in connection with people. And so once you have that spiritual connection personally, you'll see the difference in your life. And you have to do that first, because if you're out there as a practitioner and you're anxious and you're depressed or you're not healthy, you can't treat your clients, and your clients won't go to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to catch myself sometimes too. It's so easy as a business owner and a practitioner where you're running here, you're running there, I got to go to this networking meeting, I got to help my client, and then I got to figure out what's going on with this other one, and I got some people calling me all at the same time. And it's very easy to get overwhelmed, and that's not just practitioner life, that's people's normal life nowadays. So most of us are in some type of service industry. We're helping other people, and the more that we're imbalanced and not focused and all that kind of stuff, we're not going to be able to help those people as much as well, I should say. It's not like we're not, but I do believe that there's always room for growth, and no matter how much people get in life. So yeah, okay. So are there any like simple techniques that you might be able to teach us, maybe like one or two things?
Well, what my giveaway would basically be in some type of form of meditation, is to look up and ask for the light to come through your body. So you're looking up to God through your higher power, and you're asking that energy and God's light to come into your body, and to help heal and nourish you. And just as any simple form of meditation, you want to keep that energy, and Reiki is energy. So just even asking, taking a few minutes a day and just asking for that energy to come into you and to heal you, or to heal yourself in certain areas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So you use essential oils with them as well too, or with Reiki when you administer Reiki with people, right?
Absolutely. And you know, it's that aromatherapy that goes through the olfactory. So it goes into the sinuses, into the brain. And you want to allow that. You can simply just diffuse it in a diffuser, or you can place oils on a person. I think it's a little lighter, a little easier to add it to a diffuser if the client allows, and just get it in that air, because oils also vibrate at a specific level. And so that vibration, just like the stones and anything else, will help increase that positivity. And so you can just use oils for when you come into Reiki, or you come into any type of spiritual cleansing. You want to tune into that person's body. So you're going to look and see what specific oils are going to help this specific person. What do they need? What vibrates at the correct level for them?
Okay. So it's definitely depends on the person and where they're at and what they're looking for and all those kind of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can see how that's very such an intuitive type of job for someone to administer Reiki and be able to kind of see where the gap is, and what are the different stones, what are the different essential oils, with the hand placements, and all of it. It's such an art. I love it.
Yeah, it can be pretty technical, but when you do it, it flows naturally. And it's just,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes out of love, it's just something that is just easy. And when I do a Reiki session on anyone, or even myself, I feel better. And it doesn't deplete me. It adds that energy, because when you're calling that energy in, and even if you're just meditating, you're calling that energy in, and that light in, and that love in, it's going to increase your energy, and you're going to feel better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's basically how you stay not depleted, right? When you're
Right, absolutely. I mean, there's just days I have where it's just, I just need to recharge. But there's days when I know that I have an appointment, or somebody that I'm going to, or somebody that I want to give Reiki to, that then I can recharge, and it just helps me, and it gets better and better for me, even physically, mentally, emotionally, even with uh, what I have in my body, any of the problems that I have. It has helped me over time increase my energy levels, and it's made me healthier.
hmm Yeah, it's interesting how when we give away, we receive too. And it seems like that's kind of the concept that you're explaining with Reiki too, that it can seem depleting almost to work with people that have health challenges or their negative energy. But as we're giving away positive energy and they're receiving that, it's like we almost get some of that back.
Absolutely. It's a full cycle, just like your chakra spinning. And if they're spinning in the correct direction, it's a full cycle. And you're giving, and you're giving at the same time, instead of just almost like when you're nursing or something, like you're constantly giving to someone. So you have to find something to continuously balance that. And with Reiki, it's almost, for me, it's even better than that, because it's a constant movement of energy. And so even if I only have a few minutes with somebody, then I'm gifting myself something too.
Wow. That's really interesting how it works. So how can people learn how to do this on their own, or if they wanted to learn how to become a practitioner, anything like that? Any type of suggestions, books?
So what I would say is the best thing to do is it's easy to use, you can go into the International Center for Reiki Training. It's online, or you can use what was taught to me, the method that was taught to me is UC Reiki and Holy Fire Reiki. There is a book, there are steps to go through, and there's a class to take. This is not something you learn online. This is something you have to have. You have to have that spirit invoked in you and with the people around you. Even if you're just doing the training one-on-one with somebody, make sure that that there's a master teacher, because they have hit that spot in life, and they have come up and raised up to that level where they can share that with you and open you up. And that's what you really need, even if you're just taking the first level just for your personal self.
Okay, great. And then how do people find a good practitioner, Reiki practitioner?
You can go anywhere. Reiki, really, it's a friend thing. Do you know people? Where do you go? You can go to different places in the area, in Las Vegas, or you can look online. If you go to the International Center for Reiki Training, they have a list of practitioners. Do you know people? Do you trust people? What works best for you? I would really suggest that you go into a shop and meet the people in there and get that energy. You could do it online too, but ask yourself, your intuition, is that a good vibration? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, you don't want to just choose anyone, right?
Right. You have to do somebody that you resonate with and you have a good connection with.
Of course, though, here in Las Vegas, we would choose you, but you'd be at least one of the top few people we would consider. But yeah, but for those of you listening elsewhere, those are some good tidbits to think about. And I know with any type of emotional or even spiritual work I've done, I've learned that you got to be careful sometimes of who you work with, because you let the wrong person in, and it might not necessarily do bad, or it could do bad, but with the right person, you'll just come up to that next level and healing and just feeling much better.
Absolutely. And look at the people around you. If they've gone to a practitioner, how do they feel? How do they resonate? Do you see that? Some people look at their chakra and see that color. Do they have that? What's their feeling? Oh, hey, I just went to a Reiki practitioner, it's kind of whatever. Or, hey, I feel fantastic. I feel better. There was a success there.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. So where can the listeners find you?
So for me, I am on, they can reach me at Journey to Essential Health at outlook.com. I also have a Wix website, which is Journey to Essential Health, or just on Facebook. Just type in my name, Nicole Borghi, and I'm there.
Okay, can you spell your last name for the listeners?
Sure, it's Borghi.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah. And then is there any last comments that you want to mention in regards to all this?
No, I'm just, hey, thanks. I'm excited to just help spread the word. It's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you did a fabulous job explaining all this, and I just, every time I talk to you about this, I feel like I learned so much more. So thank you so much for coming on the show and enlightening myself and everyone that's listening about what Reiki is, the chakras, how essential oils are related, and all of the above. So thank you again.
Oh, you have a blessed day. Thank you.
My Super Immunity Boost Juice Guide is now available on thewellnesstrinity.com. You'll learn how to grow broccoli microgreens, the ingredients I put in my green juice, and super nutritious supplements you can add to enhance your immune system. Again, go to thewellnesstrinity.com and you'll receive your free Super Immunity Boost Juice Guide.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Trinity podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more wellness tips to help you achieve optimal health. Don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.